This is amazing. Not everybody can imagine and fantasize things. The eyes can reveal if someone has aphantasia, fantasy, meaning aphantasia is the opposite of fantasies from the Greek word, an absence of visuals in their minds. Aphantasia is a strange condition where some people are unable to visualize things in their mind. For a long time, aphantasia could only be identified thanks to people's self-reporting experiences, but now we find finally that we have a way to detect it in a different way. In this case, it's because of the eyes. More specifically, in a new study, aphantasia could be detected based on the pupil's dilation response. When the human eye is exposed to bright light, our pupils contract, as we know, and they expand when it's dark. And when they're exposed to darkness, they expand so as to let more light into the retina. But it's also known our pupils can change size due to cognitive tasks. Researchers in Australia tested two groups of participants, 42 in one group with self-reported regular visual imagination skills, and another group of 18 individuals with self-reported aphantasia were asked to view images with light and dark shapes on a gray background. Individuals from both groups showed regular pupil dilation responses to both light and dark images, but then the researchers asked both groups to imagine the same images with their eyes opened. Curiously, they found that the pupils of individuals with regular visual imagination would still contract and expand when the pupils of individuals with aphantasia did not change size to a significant level. So those that were asked to remember and fantasize it had the same type of change in their pupils. Can you imagine? Our results provide novel evidence that our pupils respond to the vividness and strength of the visual image being held in our minds. The stronger and more vivid that image, the greater the pupillary light response. That's what the author stated in their paper. And they add, finally, we show that as a group, there is no evidence of this pupil response in individuals without mental imagery, that is, those who can't imagine, those that have aphantasia. Because the pupil's response to light is involuntary, the study offers a new unbiased measure of aphantasia, since this technique does not rely on self-reporting. Lead author of the study, psychologist Joel Pearson from NUSW Sydney, says we are now close to an objective physiological test like a blood test to see if someone truly has it. Additionally, researchers found that people could imagine more vivid images showed greater pupil dilation. This adds another tool for researchers working to measure strength of mental imagery in further studies. But perhaps the most interesting question posed by the study is how mental imagery could be driving involuntary pupil response to begin with. One interpretation proposed by the authors has to do with the shared top-down mechanisms between visual imagery and perception, where brain regions that interpret visual information process imagery visuals in much the same way as actual visual data. In this case, the pupil is responding to imagined luminance similarly to how it responds to retina-based light sources, which supports the findings that the stronger or more vivid your mental pictures, the more perception-like that mental imagery really is. Researchers also wanted to make sure the participants with aphantasia were really trying to imagine the images in the study, so they included an extra task where they were asked to visualize 4 shapes simultaneously instead of 1. Our pupils are known to get larger when we are doing a more difficult task, says neuroscience researcher Lachlan Kay from the Future Minds Lab, University of New South Wales. Imagining 4 objects simultaneously is more difficult than imagining just one. The pupils of those with aphantasia dilated when they imagined 4 shapes compared to 1, but did not change based on whether the shapes were bright or dark. The human ability to form mental images of visual content assists many of the important functions our brains can perform. We do it to retrieve information from our long and short-term memory. We do it when we picture letters and symbols, when we're learning a language, and we do it when we navigate or remember where we've been. For people with aphantasia, a mental world is different, highlighting the truly diverse neurological ways in which we are all interacting with our world. This was published in the journal eLife, and it's on Science Alert by Connor Feely. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.